Hello, everyone. My name is Denisha Poplis, and I am here with volunteers in public school. I am super excited to have Super Summer Reader Robyn Merrick, the Vice President of External Affairs at the Southern University here in Baton Rouge, to share with us her experience about this amazing project, Super Summer Readers. Hello, Ms. Robyn. How are you?
I'm doing great today, Denisha. So very glad to be talking to you.
Yes, thank you so much. So first of all, let me thank you for being a part of this project. We truly appreciate you for sharing your voice, your time, and your efforts. And if you could just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do here in Baton Rouge.
Oh, wow. My name, of course, is Robyn Merrick. I'm a native of Baton Rouge and a proud graduate of East Baton Rouge Parish Schools and a graduate of Southern University, and now having the opportunity to serve as Vice President for External Affairs here at the university. Exciting times, of course, lots going on in our world. And I've got responsibility for areas of alumni, communications, special events, our museum, and government relations at the university. So that also involves our community relations. Which brings me to volunteers in public schools, and I've been working with you guys as a volunteer for a number of years, off and on, and I'm glad to still be here volunteering.
Yes, that is amazing. You are deeply rooted in the culture of Baton Rouge, and that is amazing. The purpose of this project was to bring 300 books to students who may not have access to those books. Children do need about the minimum of 10 books to increase their reading literacy, and it is super important during the summer months to make sure that we keep them engaged with literacy and reading. And so this project was a way for us to get them excited, get them pumped about seeing, local figures read some of our favorite books that they can watch on our YouTube. And so with that being said, what sparked your interest to be a part of this project?
The first thing that sparked my interest is, of course, volunteering with volunteers in public schools and serving as a member of the board of directors for the last couple of years. But also, my mother was an elementary school librarian. And one of the things that she did that so many people still remember to this day, she's deceased, but she worked at Ryan Elementary and Alston Elementary here in East Baton Rouge Parish for a number of years, probably I think just under 35 years that she did that. And she read to the kids. She read all the stories, and I still run into people to this day who tell me, oh, your mom was my librarian and she read to me, and I remember this book, I remember that book. And we'd always love the time that it was to go to the library. And so much of my reading, I can certainly say my desire for reading and love for reading goes back to my mother and her introducing us to all the children's books over the years. Growing up, we have an extensive library of very old children's books. And so, and the summers were so critical to that, summer reading.
Yes, I definitely feel that, because you honestly know and are able to connect with the importance of literacy, because you have that figure who, read to the community and to you as well as your mom. And speaking of having an extensive library at home, your book was Chicka Chicka Boom Boom by Bill Martin Jr.
Yeah.
I believe you said this was your first time reading this book, and so what did you connect with this book? What was interesting, or what do you feel children can connect with in this book?
First of all, for that book, it was my first time reading it, and it's a tongue twister throughout, and so it's important to not only just read that book, but to read it aloud so that you can hear yourself saying the words. And so that was one of the things that we learned growing up, was not just reading to ourselves, but also going and reading to a parent or an adult so that they could actually hear that you knew how to read. But Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, and I'm laughing because, as we were recording it, you had to really follow the cadence of the book and how the words came out and what they meant to each other. And it was all about the alphabets climbing into a tree. And I just chuckled because it really was a funny book. The rhymes, the cadence, the tongue twisting, all of that together.
Yes, so would you say your favorite part of this experience was the book and experiencing that book, or what was your favorite part if it wasn't?
Favorite part of the experience was the book, I think. That particular book. And the other side of it was reading in such a way that I'm hoping that will be entertaining to those who are watching, that they would want to follow along and listen. Of course, it's not a very long read, but it is an interesting read. So much like many of the children's books that have that kind of rhyming cadence, like the Dr. Seuss books, always been my favorite growing up. All of the Dr. Seuss books. I mean, I can't not love those books. And so learning to read through that process, as well as my absolute favorite would have been Amelia Bedelia. And you may be too young to remember the Amelia Bedelia series.
Yeah, I don't think I've experienced that one.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, Amelia Bedelia found herself in all sorts of misadventures. And so, but yeah, she's absolutely one of my favorites. I'm going to dust that book off too and bring it back and take a look at it.
Yes, ma'am. And so, how would you rate your entire experience from being reached out to be a Super Summer Reader to coming in and recording your video? How would you rate that experience?
Hey, it was flawless, seamless. Working with Kaya Simmons and the team at Volunteers in Public Schools. Hats off to all of you. Judy Bethley and her leadership just made everything very smooth. Quick contact, quick arranging on the calendar. Coming in to do the recording was very easy and calming. I think, you know, if you have any nerves or nervous about being in front of a camera or reading aloud or anything like that, public reading, you guys kind of, you know, eased that fear for us and said, hey, you know, you're just reading. You're reading to, you know, an imaginary group of folks that are watching.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you so much for your kind words. And again, thank you for being a VIPS 2020 Super Summer Reader. We truly, truly appreciate it. If you have a last message for any parents encouraging their children to read, or any children who may be experiencing our story time, to encourage them to continue reading during the summer months.
You know, I cannot overemphasize the importance of reading. So it's really one of those things where you just do it. And reading is so very fundamental, and it's so critical to happen, not just in the early stages of life, although I would say that's the most important time, but to continue to read all through your lives. I mean, if you read to your children, let your children read to you, and then let your children see you reading. I think that's another important aspect. They will grow as readers when they see those around them reading. So reading is so critical. You got my newspaper sitting back here. Somebody joked with me the other day, like, why do you still read the newspaper as a paper in your hands?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I like the feel of it in my hands. So every day it's, you know, that's how I start the day, is reading, for sure.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to meet with us. We truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Denisha.